So Charlotte, it's been a while since you and I talked about connected and automated vehicles, at least on camera. What's going on in your part of the world?
Well, yeah, I mean, we are on camera, so just for the benefit of the audience, I'm Charlotte Walker-Osborn. I'm a technology partner in the UK office, and I do a lot of work in the automotive industry.
And I'm Mike Nelson. I'm in the New York office for Eversheds, Sutherland. I also work on connected and automated vehicles.
So yeah, it's a good question. Progress has been made, which is good. You know, there's a lot of energy to adopt this technology. Obviously, all the relevant industries are coming together, insurers, technology, and automotive, but there are still quite a lot of obstacles. The laws are still really undeveloped and inadequate and disparate across countries. There is progress. A number of countries have put laws into force or are going through Parliament. Examples include the UK and Germany and Singapore. But even then, there's still debate around whether they are saying the right things and they're not saying the same things. And that's the same with ethics as well. You know, are we going to have a consistent ethical standard? That's important because of the liability positions for each of the sort of connections in the ecosystem. There's a lot to do. I mean, out of the kind of obstacles, are you seeing particular obstacles over in the US that concern?
Yeah, this lack of a legal scheme is proving to be quite a roadblock in many ways. One of the major car manufacturers that was going to introduce a level 3 automobile recently decided not to introduce it in the United States because of the lack of clarity in the law. And that's been amplified by some recent events where some people tragically lost lives and cars where there's been a high degree of automation. That's put political pressure on the situation, and that seems to have stalled some efforts in Congress to pass some laws that would provide guidance. So what you have now is a patchwork of state laws that really aren't that helpful in deciding things like who's responsible in the event of an accident. And because of that, we're left with, okay, how do these vehicles get introduced without the proper scheme in place to assess fault and determine risk?
Yeah, okay. And actually that's really similar for us. So again, just touching on the UK, CCAV, which is one of the main organisations that tries to focus on this area, has called for the Law Commission by 2021 to have really looked at all of the different issues, and I hope that it works consistently with other countries. Anything else that's really an issue for you?
Yeah, I've been involved in some of these events where vehicles have been in accidents, and the vehicles have tremendous amounts of data. There's 100 CPUs in these cars, and getting access to that data so you can learn about what happened, not so much from eyewitness accounts, but now what the car has recorded. That data is nearly impossible to get unless you're a governmental agency or you're armed with a subpoena.
Yeah.
So that too is adding to this pressure of how are we going to decide who's at fault in an accident if we don't really know what went on.
Okay, but is the law keeping up? Is it looking at that issue now?
No, the law actually that we have, the most recent law that's even closest to this goes back to 1980 and has to do with the introduction of airbags. So we have a long way to go in that regard as well.
Okay, so there's going to be developments there really. On the data side, in the EU, as you know, a very big law was passed in May.
Heard about that.
Yeah, I think everyone has, and that's hugely important to the whole of this industry. I mean, it's EU-wide. Brexit hasn't helped with the UK being such an important cog in the kind of EU wheel, but we'll get there between us. But it's good that we have consistency at least around data in some respects, but it's very focused on personal data and privacy, and that's good in some ways, but obviously to your point, sometimes access to data is really important. So I think there's work to do there. There's guidance specifically coming out around connected cars for personal data, and there'll be more coming through. Well, you know, it's been great talking, Mike.
It's been great talking with you.
And for more bottom line videos and information, please visit eversheds-sutherland.com.